My name is Noah Estrada. I'm 33 years old, born and raised in Miami, and until a year ago I thought I had found love with a woman named Alina Markovic. She was from Serbia, smart, stunning, had that quiet European confidence that made her stand out in a room. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party, and by the end of the night I was already imagining a future with her. She said she was new to the country, studying graphic design, trying to adjust to American life. I offered to help, first with basic stuff like DMV paperwork and her first job search, and then eventually a place to stay when her lease ended. 6 months later, we were married. Everyone told me I was rushing it. My mom said I barely knew her. My best friend Alex flat out warned me. This feels transactional, bro. I told them love didn't follow rules. That sometimes when you just know. But I didn't know. Not really. I didn't know she was already in talks with another man for a backup green card option. I didn't know she had lied about her visa expiring. I didn't know she had a fiancé back home. What I did know was the moment everything clicked. It was 3 months after our wedding, right after she got her permanent resident status. Alina changed overnight. No more late-night cuddles. No more, "Thank you for believing in me." Instead, she became cold, distant, like she was already erasing me from the script. Then one day, I came home early from work and overheard a video call in the bedroom. She was laughing, speaking in Serbian. I recorded some of it, ran it through translation apps. What I heard broke me. He fell for it. So easy. 3 more months and I'm gone. I didn't confront her. Not then. Because if she wanted to use me, she was about to find out how it felt to be used by someone who knew the immigration system better than she ever imagined. This wasn't going to end with heartbreak. It was going to end with handcuffs. I work in immigration consulting. Ironic, I know. For the past 6 years, I've helped people navigate green card applications, visa renewals, marriage interviews. I've seen it all. Fake relationships, forged documents, even real couples who fall apart under pressure. I've always told my clients one thing: if it's not real, don't do it. I should have taken my own advice. When I met Alina, it wasn't in an immigration context. It was at a rooftop birthday party in Brickell. She stood near the railing, drink in hand, scanning the Miami skyline like she already owned it. Her accent was soft, her laugh even softer. She told me she'd been in the U.S. for just under a year, finishing up a graphic design certificate program. I told her I worked in immigration. She smiled and said, "Good to know." I didn't think twice about that comment then. She asked questions, lots of them, about me, about the city, about how long it takes someone on a student visa to get a work permit. I chalked it up to curiosity. I didn't realize it was reconnaissance. Alina was magnetic. She didn't flirt hard, didn't come on strong. She made you chase her, but just enough to feel like it was your idea. We started seeing each other regularly. Her lease ended a few months later, and she said her roommates were going back to Europe. Without hesitation, I offered her my spare room. It never stayed just the spare room. Soon we were sharing a bed, groceries, and bills. She cooked breakfast every morning, told me stories about growing up in Novi Sad, introduced me to Serbian music and espresso so strong it could resurrect the dead. She told me she was scared about her visa expiring. She said she loved me, but she didn't want to pressure me into anything. I told her we'd figure it out. We got married at the courthouse on a Friday. She wore a navy dress. I wore a suit that didn't quite fit. No photographer, no vows, just paperwork and a promise. At first, I thought I'd done the right thing. She was sweet, attentive, affectionate. She brought home pastries, sent me memes in the middle of the day, asked about my mom, but the closer we got to the date her status changed, the more she started to disappear. First, she got busy with work. Then it was late-night projects and design deadlines. Then she stopped coming home some nights. I tried to talk to her. She brushed it off. "You're being paranoid," she'd say. "Why don't you trust me?" And I wanted to trust her. I needed to trust her, because if I admitted what my gut was screaming, then I'd have to face the truth. I was a mark, a pawn in a scam I should have seen coming. Then came the video call. I wasn't supposed to be home that early. I had a lunch meeting cancel last minute, so I came back to surprise her with sushi and wine. I walked in quietly. Her voice drifted from the bedroom, playful and sharp. She was speaking in Serbian, but a few words stood out. "Green card, idiot, Miami." I stood in the hallway, frozen, holding that takeout bag like it could somehow keep me grounded. I started recording on my phone, not even knowing why. Just instinct. Later that night, I played it back, used an app to transcribe the words, ran them through Google Translate, and then DeepL to be sure. "He thinks I'm still in love. Please. I've got everything I need now. I'm just waiting for the next phase." I didn't confront her that night. I didn't throw her out, because I knew I had two options: be the victim, or use what I knew and flip the game on her. I chose the second one, because while she thought she had fooled me, she forgot one thing. I work in this system, and I know exactly where the loopholes are and how to snap them shut. The moment I knew what she'd done, the urge to act was overwhelming, but I couldn't blow up. Not yet. Revenge without proof is just an outburst. I needed to be smarter than that. For the next few weeks, I played my role. I didn't treat her any differently. I still kissed her goodbye in the mornings, still asked about her day, still pretended like I was in love. I became her mirror, reflecting back exactly what she expected to see. Meanwhile, I was digging. I checked our bank statements and noticed transfers to a foreign PayPal account, small enough to avoid flags, frequent enough to matter. I pulled the IP history on her laptop when she forgot to log out. Turns out she'd been video calling the same man in Serbia nearly every night while I was working late. His name? Luca? A fiancé? Or maybe just another Mark? Hard to say. She had multiple dating profiles under different names. One even listed her as single, looking to meet locals while in America. I documented everything: screenshots, call logs, financial records, her text messages, her search history. I even accessed the I-130 petition we filed together. She'd claimed she was living with me full-time, committed, monogamous. All lies now backed by evidence. I made a binder. Labeled it Alina Markovic, intent to defraud. The final straw came when she asked me to co-sign a car loan. She had the audacity to look me in the eye and say, "This will help me build my credit so I can contribute more." I smiled, nodded, and said I'd think about it. Inside, I was boiling. I knew the timeline. Within 2 months, she'd qualify to remove the conditions on her green card and obtain a 10-year permanent resident status. After that, she could divorce me and stay in the country, permanently. Unless I stopped her. And I could. I knew I could. See, most people think once someone gets their conditional green card through marriage, it's game over. But it's not. The I-751 petition to remove conditions still requires proof of a good faith marriage. If you can prove the marriage was fraudulent, USCIS has every right to revoke the status, even if it was already granted. But there was risk. If I reported her, I'd be pulled into it too. They'd investigate me, They'd question my motives, my business, my ethics. My career could go up in smoke if I couldn't prove I had no idea what she was doing. So I needed a second layer, a fail-safe. I contacted an old friend, Diana Nguyen, an immigration attorney I'd worked with for years. I told her everything, showed her the binder. At first, she was hesitant. "You need to protect yourself, Noah." But the deeper she read, the more serious she became. "This is a clear case of visa fraud," she said. "But you can't just report it. You need to distance yourself legally. You need to bait her into admitting it." And that's when the real plan started. I started recording everything. I had hidden audio clips of her making comments about getting out soon, texts where she said she finally had freedom. I even caught her bragging to a friend that she could play the game better than anyone. Diana drafted a legal affidavit outlining my discovery and intent to report. She also filed paperwork for an annulment, not a divorce. Annulment meant I was claiming the marriage was a fraud from the beginning. That would put me on the right side of the system. But I wasn't done yet. Because if Alina wanted to use me for a green card, then I was going to use her to blow the lid off a visa scam I knew she wasn't running alone. I didn't just want to stop Alina. I wanted to expose the entire network I suspected she was part of. The more I dug, the clearer it became. This wasn't just a one-off hustle. Her friend group was a carousel of foreign nationals, all involved in conveniently timed marriages, last-minute lease arrangements, and mysteriously identical love stories shared with immigration officers. There were at least 4 other men she regularly messaged. Some were recent exes, others potential marks. With Diana's legal guidance, we built a clean timeline of evidence. She encouraged me to file a Form Y-751 waiver affidavit, a rarely used but completely legal method to remove myself from the fraudulent petition and notify USCIS that I believed the marriage had been entered under false pretenses. It was bold, risky, but airtight. Next, I baited Alina into confirming the scam in her own words. It started with a carefully staged conversation. I told her over dinner, casual, like it was nothing, that I had started to get nervous about our immigration paperwork, that someone at my office had been flagged for marriage fraud, and I'd hate for us to go through something like that. She smirked. Actually smirked. "You worry too much," she said. "They only go after dumb couples who can't act natural." I replied, "Yeah, good thing we're natural." She clinked her wine glass with mine. "Exactly. You're a pro at this." That was the clip. That was the line I needed. I had my phone recording in my pocket the whole time, but I wasn't finished. Next, I reached out to the USCIS Fraud Investigation Division, anonymously at first. I asked what kind of documentation they would need to investigate a suspected network of green card marriages. When I showed Diana their response, she said, "This is enough. Time to go on record." We filed everything. The screenshots, the bank transfers, the recorded call, her online dating profiles, even a photo she posted with Luca captioned, "See you soon, baby." Diana submitted the full dossier with my affidavit, notarized and signed, stating I had been deceived, manipulated, and was terminating the marriage due to fraud. At the same time, we submitted the annulment paperwork to the county court. The final step was confronting her, not with yelling, not with threats, but with a choice. I left a sealed envelope on her side of the dresser. Inside was a copy of the annulment filing, a written confession of what I knew, and a sentence in bold. "You have 48 hours to leave this apartment. I've already reported everything. I suggest you don't try to run." I wasn't home when she found it. But when I returned 2 days later, her things were gone. No note, no call, just silence. And the strange peace of knowing she realized, too late, that she had picked the wrong person to scam. But the fallout wasn't over yet. 2 weeks later, I got a call from an immigration investigator. They wanted to meet, not just about Alina, but about 3 other women connected to her. Apparently, my report triggered a red flag in the system. They'd been monitoring this ring for months, but didn't have a first-hand witness. Now they did. I agreed to testify. I handed over every piece of digital evidence, including emails, audio clips, and IP logs. What began as a personal betrayal had now evolved into the unmasking of a full-blown fraud operation. And Alina, she had no idea what was coming. 3 months after I filed the affidavit and annulment, I received a subpoena from the Department of Homeland Security. They weren't just building a case against Alina. They were coordinating a multi-state investigation involving at least 6 other fraudulent green card marriages linked to the same underground network. Apparently, Alina had been flagged before, but no witness had ever come forward with concrete proof. Until now. I met with 2 federal agents in a quiet corner office in downtown Miami. They were methodical, polite, and deadly serious. They combed through the evidence I had submitted, cross-referenced it with their own ongoing intel, and then handed me a thick case folder. Inside were photos, transcripts, and marriage records from 4 different states, all connected to women who had ties to Alina. And then came the shocker. "She's not just part of the ring," one of the agents said. "She's one of the recruiters." Alina had been the bait, the face of the operation. Fluent in English, charming, attractive, and well-spoken, she was sent to identify vulnerable American men, especially those with immigration industry ties, gain their trust, marry them, and use the access to legitimize other fraudulent applicants. I wasn't just her husband, I was her golden ticket. The agents asked me to testify before a grand jury. I didn't hesitate. The hearing was closed door, federal building, no press, just truth, paperwork, and cold, factual betrayal. I told them everything. How she approached me, how she manipulated the relationship, how she changed once her conditional residency was approved. I played the audio recordings, shared my screen to show archived emails and private browser searches. One of the jurors, an older woman, visibly flinched when I played the recording of Alina saying, "He fell for it. So easy. 3 more months and I'm gone." The grand jury returned an indictment in under 2 weeks. Federal charges: immigration fraud, conspiracy to commit visa fraud, wire fraud, false statements on a federal document. They issued a warrant for her arrest. I didn't know where she'd gone after leaving our apartment. But now, the government did. Alina was picked up at JFK Airport under a different name. She was trying to leave the country, likely to disappear and rebrand herself. She didn't make it past customs. I watched the footage later. Her in cuffs, wearing dark sunglasses and a gray hoodie, head down as agents led her away. She didn't cry, didn't scream, just clenched her jaw like someone whose game had finally ended. And me? I wasn't joyful. I wasn't even angry anymore. I felt clean. She had used me to cheat the system, but I had used her to bring it all down. The woman who thought she could lie her way to permanent residency, profit, and freedom without consequence was now facing up to 15 years in federal prison. And the scam she helped run? Gone, raided, shut down. Justice hadn't just been served, it had been engineered by me. After Alina's arrest, everything moved fast. I testified twice more, once in pre-trial depositions, once in front of a second panel building cases against two other recruiters from the same network. With each session, the scope of the operation became clearer. Dozens of fake marriages, thousands of falsified documents, and hundreds of thousands of dollars exchanged in under-the-table fees. But what haunted me wasn't the size of the scam. It was the simplicity of it. People like Alina didn't need guns or masks, just charm, paperwork, and the assumption that love makes people blind. And she was right. I was blind, but only once. Word got out in my industry. My name appeared, anonymized but still recognizable, in an article about visa fraud whistleblowing. Some of my colleagues praised me for stepping forward. A few gave me side-eye like I had let myself get conned. Clients canceled, unsure if I was credible or careless. I had to rebuild. Diana helped me restructure my business. I split my consultancy from solo practice into a partnership. I leaned more into compliance training, helping other immigration advisors spot red flags. I ran workshops. I spoke at a conference. Slowly, my reputation shifted, from the guy who got used to the guy who fought back. At home, things were quieter. I sold the apartment where Alina and I had lived. It never felt like mine again after she left. I moved into a loft closer to the water. Smaller, simpler, more peaceful. I kept Milo, our rescue cat. Yes, she picked him out, but he chose me. He sleeps next to my laptop every night while I work late into the evening, writing policy drafts or reviewing affidavits for scared clients who've been taken advantage of by others like Alina. The annulment went through. Fast and final. Legally, it was as if we had never been married. Emotionally? That took longer, but I began to feel lighter with time. Less angry, more focused. There's something empowering about turning betrayal into blueprint, about using the pain someone caused you to prevent others from suffering the same thing. I heard through the court that Alina took a plea deal, 5 years federal time, immediate deportation upon release, no chance of U.S. reentry, no glamorous escape, no second act, just an orange jumpsuit and a rap sheet. The story made a brief splash online, a Reddit thread, a TikTok video with blurry courtroom sketches, no names, no faces, just another green card gone wrong story. They didn't know the full version, but I did, and I'd lived it. Now, when people come to me with stories of suspicious partners, I don't roll my eyes. I don't judge. I listen. I ask questions, and I remind them, love is not blind. It's often just poorly lit. I never got an apology from her. Never expected one. She used me like I was just a stepping stone, but she forgot one thing. Some stones don't just lie still. Some break the whole foundation. It's been a year since I last saw Alina. Sometimes I wonder what she thinks about in that prison cell. If she regrets what she did. If she ever wonders how close she came to getting everything she wanted. Or if she's already plotting her next escape, this time in a different country, under a different name, with a new face and another poor fool. But then I catch myself, and I let the thought go. Because this story was never about her. Not really. It was about me, and who I became because of her betrayal. The truth is, for a while, I hated myself more than I hated her. I was the immigration expert. I knew every scam in the book, and still I fell for one of the oldest tricks in the system. But now, I see it differently. I wasn't stupid. I was human. I believed in someone. I opened my door, my heart, and my life because I wanted to be loved, and I thought I saw love looking back at me. That's not weakness. That's hope. And hope isn't something to be ashamed of. It took time to rebuild that part of myself, to trust again, not just people, but my own instincts. I had to relearn the difference between red flags and second chances. I started therapy. I had long, honest conversations with myself about why I ignored the signs, why I wanted to believe her so badly. I forgave myself. That was the hardest part. I don't date much these days, not because I'm bitter, but because I'm more selective now. I don't chase love the way I used to. I let it show up in quieter ways. Friends who check in, clients who thank me, Milo curling up beside me at 3 a.m. when I'm still awake working through a case. One day, I might fall in love again, but next time, it'll be real, mutual, honest, without loopholes or lies. And if it never happens, that's okay too, because I already reclaimed the most important relationship of my life. The one with myself. Alina came into my world thinking she was smarter, that she could manipulate me, play the long game, walk away a winner. But what she didn't know was that I don't lose quietly. I learn, I evolve, I build stronger walls with better doors. And now I help others spot the cracks before they fall through them. She used me for a green card, so I used her for the blueprint for never letting it happen again.